fallacious anti-gun arguments. I've heard a lot of them. YouTube has a wealth of fallacious anti-gun arguments, and I just wanted to talk about some of the. I don't have any particular list or anything written down. I'm just going off the top of my head because, as everybody knows, I'm from the state of New Jersey, and basically, New Jersey and New York are pretty much the last states. I think it's New Jersey, New York, and I don't even know what the laws are in Hawaii. I know they can't have like a quote unquote assault rifles. But New Jersey still has the 1994 assault weapons ban, 15 round magazine limit, and all that stuff. And now the Ninth Circuit Ward has essentially reversed not reversed, I shouldn't say reversed, but contradicted I don't know whether it was the third or the fourth, circuit. I don't even know how the whole Supreme Court circuit courts that are underneath the Supreme Court before you get to the Supreme. I don't even know how that works. I'm learning this as I go, the whole judicial process and appeals and all that other stuff. But basically, New Jersey has justifiable need, which is basically along the same lines as San Diego's good cause. Okay. And with the elimination of good cause, which basically effectively eliminates one's ability to carry outside the home without going through a whole bunch of bureaucratic red tape. As some people say, you either have to know a judge, or you're sleeping with a judge, or you're ex-law enforcement in order to get a permit to carry in New Jersey. And then on top of that, the permits to carry in New Jersey, not that I know anybody who has one, because I don't, they have all type of restrictions. Like, even if you could get one, even if you were somebody who had, you owned a business and you were going to the bank, $10,000, to make deposits, you're only allowed to have your CCW or carry gun, for that purpose in that moment when you're going to and from the bank or whatever. I know plenty of people that basically, carry regardless. They're like, man, I got too much money on me. Period. So hopefully all this will be resolved. I know New York's they're gonna have a shit fit, especially people like Michael Bloomberg. New Jersey will have a shit fit. It's almost impossible for New Jersey or even New York, to deny people their Second Amendments when you have a whole country, the whole rest of the country basically has CCW. I've stated before that the first gun control laws were put in place to keep the guns out of the hands of African Americans. The whole 1968 Act, the same year Martin Luther King got killed, same year, I think, Robert Kennedy got killed, right? Malcolm X got killed, right? So there was this whole people with guns, the race riots, all that stuff that was going on. So obviously, the United States, in those times with their martial law and trying to quell the racial violence, put these gun laws in place. And then with the whole the rise of the drugs in the 80s, much of which was backed by the CIA to fund their little Contras and stuff, and the dumping of narcotics into the black communities. I don't know any black people that are chemists, in urban cities. I don't know any black people that have submarines or speedboats or helicopters in order to get it in the country, but somehow, some way, it ends up in the black community. All right, and I don't even need to go into the racial politics of that. But a lot of the to get to the false arguments that I always hear coming from the anti-gun people. and there's two different arguments. There's the constitutional people, and then there's like the urban blight people. Okay, like the constitutional people, they stick to why the Second Amendment was instituted in the first place. Why the founding fathers thought to put it in their first place. Okay, and it was to prevent the government from becoming too powerful and overthrowing the people. Now, realistically, does this right to bear arms mean that citizens should be able to? I should be able to have an Abrams tank in my driveway? No. Should I be able to have a thermonuclear device? No. Should I be able to have any weapon of mass destruction? No. But when it comes to small arms, the idea and the concept was that the citizens would have a weapon that meets the capabilities of what the U.S. government had. Right? So I always hear these terms about military weapons, military style weapons. They're not for citizens. They're for the military. And that makes absolutely no sense, for a constitutional argument. Because, okay, people say, oh, well, the technology's different, and they never expected people to have 30 round capacity magazines and stuff like that. And it's like, yes, at the time, obviously the capabilities of weapons during the Revolutionary War were different than the capabilities of weapons today. But it doesn't matter what the capability is of what we consider small arms, which is not a tank, but they're guns. We went from muskets to wheel guns to semi-automatic fire guns, right? To what people would consider assault weapons, right? And when they go to lasers, I want a laser too. When they go to phasers from Star Trek and I can put it on stun or put it on kill, I want that too. Whatever the government has in terms of small arms is what citizens should have in order to protect themselves from the government. It wouldn't make sense if we started off with, the Second Amendment and then we go from muskets, right? And then the way that anti-gunners, try to put it is that all American citizens should still be having one-shot musket rifles, and the U.S. government can have, M16s and all the way up into the future, whatever the heck they're going to have in the future. That undermines the whole premise of people having the right to bear arms, which was, again, the fear of the government against the people. You see what's going on in Kiev, okay? You see what was going on in Egypt. You see what was going on in Bahrain or the whole Arab Spring. Right now, I'm not even going to get into how the United States has helped support a lot of the dictators overseas because of our thirst for oil or our thirst for power, because we will keep a dictator in power in order for us, America, to benefit, from that. So this a whole idea about freedom and everything else. Yeah, we want freedom for ourselves, but we don't want freedom for everybody else. We only say that when we want to go in and somebody comes to power that we don't like or doesn't serve United States interests. That's the real politics of it. But I'm not even going to get into all of that. I'm not going to get into all that. Okay, but the whole concept, and I don't want to run out of time because YouTube's got the little funny minute thing, so I might make a part 2. But the concept, that citizens shouldn't have the same military style weapons as the military is it's an argument that doesn't make sense. Okay, if the concept of the Second Amendment was so that the citizens could protect themselves from the state, right? Again, I direct you to Kiev. Again, I direct you to what's going on in Iran. And people go, oh, that can't happen here. Bullshit. Okay? But it would make sense to actually have a weapon that has the same capability as the military. That's the only way that you would even remotely have a fair fight. remotely have a fair fight. Yes, the government has tanks and planes and bombers and everything. And if there was all out war on the American people, it would be devastating. But at the same time, when there's that many citizens versus people in the military, which I believe is only something like 1.2 or 1.4 million people, right? Besides the people who would defect and go and support their families and whatnot, like what you see in Iraq and everywhere else when the government, or Syria, when the government tries to go against the people, some people defect. Okay, but the idea is to give the people a fighting chance. When you reduce them down to a capacity of 5 or a capacity of 10, or the idea that they should have muskets while the military, they're still going to have AR-15s. They're still going to have 30-round clips. You know what I'm saying? Plus all the other support stuff that they got behind them. You know, and so in essence, it absolutely undermines the whole premise of the Second Amendment in the first place,